Hi, it is July the 1st, 2015, and this is Wes Fryer with Shelly Fryer. And we're going to reflect a little bit about ISTE 2015. Shelly had a chance to go early for a PBS workshop, and then together we were there for Sunday and Monday. So we didn't get to stay for the whole conference, but we know there are lots of people not at ISTE, and Shelly was like, are we going to audio record this? But I thought, let's just do a quick video. It'll share quicker, and I know there's folks, you know, very interested in some of the great things being shared at ISTE. So, Shelly, this was your first time to ISTE. What were your overall impressions of the conference?
It's big.
Yes,
it is very big.
It
is huge. Like what, predicted 15,000 people?
Well, I think 20,000 actually
20,
this year, yeah.
Amazingly huge, but extremely organized. I mean, ISTE, I think, works really hard at trying to help educators learn the way that they want to learn. I mean, you know, I spent some time in the playgrounds. I kind of hang out with you in the Bloggers Cafe. So there were different venues and different ways to gain information, and I really appreciate that.
Multiple pathways to learning. And on a non-academic learning, the food court thing, the reading market.
That is huge.
That was so awesome as far as food. We rode the ducks, thanks
Yes.
OTA, which was so fun. In fact, I need to add that. I've got a playlist that I'm putting this into of interviews, and I did a hyperlapse when we were on the of the duck tour, yeah. And then we got to see the tall ships. So I mean, it was neat. And we learned a little bit about Airbnb and what to do and not do as you book your Airbnbs.
Absolutely.
We had no problems. But all right, we'll talk. Let's go to the vendor hall. First time to the vendor hall. Why'd you like the vendor hall, and where'd you go? Where were your favorite spots to go there?
Well, I'm a person that likes relationships, and so I had a list of apps that I fully believe in and I use all the time in my classroom. So I was really eager to go and connect with those people, face-to-face connection, and also just to find out what's new, because a lot of people at ISTE are adding things new, or so seeing what's new on those updates. I had an opportunity to visit with Alexia Core 5 people, the Spelling City people.
And Shelly is iPad 1-to-1 with 3rd and 4th graders. So why was
Correct.
Lexia such an exciting and important place? I mean, what?
Well, Lexia was important because we use it as kind of a foundational thing for our students.
Reading assessment.
Reading assessment, daily practice. We spend about 20 minutes a day on that. It's important for my students in my classroom because it allows them to work at their own individual level and then progress from there. So many of my students work, 2 or 3 grade levels below what their age grouping is, and so that's important. But I tell you, the most valuable connection I made is for my #1 favorite app, which is Myon Reader, which has made a huge impact. I mean, truly, my students are learning to love to read because of Myon. They're reading books that they're truly interested in, and we spend, 30 to 45 minutes in deer time every day. And it is my students' most peaceful time. They're able to choose the books that they want to read. They're able to explore the things that they're interested in. And making that connection with Myon it was exciting for me.
Yeah, great. And then you got an Osmo. You were excited about that?
I did. That is the one toy I really wanted to go and take away. #1, Osmo's advertising is amazing because on my Facebook I see their commercial come through my Facebook all the time. And so, however, I knew already that I wanted to explore and try it because we are 1-to-1 iPad, and I'm always looking for ways to use our iPads as a tool for learning. And I like the tactile way that they've been able to connect the iPad with actual, tactile.
Physical objects, yeah. And if you're not familiar, Osmo has, and I've seen it. I've heard Cindy Danner-Kuhn talk a lot about it. It has a mirror
Camera.
It's a mirror that reflects the camera of the iPad down, and then allows you to do physical things like draw or move objects and things. And there's a lot of power in bridging the gap between the
Right.
virtual and the physical world.
Right.
If you have not, or if you followed the work of the Lifelong Kindergarten Group that Mitch Resnick is a part of at MIT, you know, they are big not only in Scratch and the virtual, but they've done things like with Pico Crickets and with Lego robotics, you know, where there's tactile things that kids will learn to manipulate and change. And so, and from a brain standpoint, you know, I think that's big. The Sphero and drones, you know, give you a chance to do this where it's not just something. I mean, here our daughter's playing Minecraft right next to us, you know, and there's so much power in working in virtual worlds, but there's, and I don't have all of the vocabulary and the academic research to cite right now as far as why it's powerful, but I know that it is. And so that's one of the things that Osmo does, is it brings this tactile interaction with the technology. Is that going to be actually your birthday present this year, or
No.
you're holding out for other birthdays?
No,
Okay,
no,
I
no,
kind of
no.
thought that was.
That's
gonna
my
be the case.
toy.
Okay, yeah, that was your.
Was your
main
new
souvenir.
iPad your birthday present?
I didn't buy it, so
Okay.
yeah, no. All right, Flipboard. We had a chance 2 nights ago to have a wonderful dinner with the Flipboard team, who are, you know, moving into education and really want to engage with educators. And two of the things I learned that I'm very excited about. You can go to share. Well, first off, if you're not using Flipboard, it is a fantastic app, and it's also web-based now, where you can subscribe to content produced by sort of traditional mainstream media outlets, but you can also turn your social media streams into a very engaging, visually compelling magazine that you can not only read and consume, but you can also share, you can comment in. So it's really the biggest thing, I think, for Shelly that made Twitter relevant for her, because she was able to take, you know, her Twitter stream and then be able to, in the evening or whenever, you know, process it and read it like a newspaper. So you can go to share.flipboard.com, and if you make a magazine, like I have several, but my main one is called iReading, and I just made a little widget that I put in the sidebar of my blog, speedofcreativity.org. This is huge. You can make collaborative magazines. So what I'm excited about, I love amplifying student work, and so I'm going to make a magazine, call it Okla Ed Student Work, because I really want in Oklahoma for us to be amplifying teachers, classrooms, schools, and districts who are sharing student work. I think we can be so inspired by student work. We can give them feedback. But I'm going to, you know, set that up as a collaborative magazine, and because it's really easy then for people to subscribe to it and to see it. Works on Android as well as iOS.
Well, and I want to take it back to my staff. My goal is to take Flipboard back to my staff, because we're not only educators, you know, we have administration, we have our counselors, we have our family support people, and we are constantly trying to stay current in our research and what's good for our student population. And so I want to have a place that we can all share the things that we're finding in those particular areas and help them set up some different magazines for that. Rather than just sharing articles through email where they're just kind of getting lost in. But I want to find a space to house those and then be able to share those magazines with the staff at our school.
Yeah, so really excited about that. PBS, you were there for 2 days. What are your key takeaways from the PBS Digital Innovator Workshop, whatever?
I really enjoyed my time with PBS. I think they are very open and willing and want to connect with educators in the classroom. They have a huge library of very rich resources, not just video resources, but interactive resources and first-person document resources and lesson plans, and they really truly want educators to be able to access that wealth of information. They've got some new tools that they're coming out with, lesson building tools, quiz making tools, storyboard tools, and they really want to partner with the educators. What I also really liked was they were very intentional about connecting with educators all over the country and partnering with their local PBS stations.
Affiliates.
Like affiliates, right. So they had the group of affiliates there as well as the educators there, fostering those relationships so that they can truly meet the needs of the teachers and the educators in their area, because there's a wide variety of things that teachers are trying to do. And to have that local resource person to partner with, I think was very valuable. And so I just really applaud them on reaching out to educators and trying to connect educators to their information, which is just outstanding, really.
Let's talk about the Poetry Slam. The last thing we went to on Monday night, in fact, we were a little late for the Flipboard thing because we didn't want to leave, was this Poetry Slam. You got to stay for the whole thing. I just caught the end. This was fantastic. The little bit that I got to see, the students were sharing poetry slams, but it was more than that. It was dialogue and conversation. Some of the things that the teachers had to share. And let's just say this. This is the only thing I've ever seen at ISTE that was led by a predominantly African-American panel of teachers and students. Now, it was diverse. There were lots of folks that were there, but it's so great to have the student voices and perspectives, really concrete, solid ideas, for teachers to take right back into the classroom about having conversation, respecting student voice, amplifying student voice.
Well, and learning to be a listener. It was so important for these students to have outlets, not only to share their experiences, but to have people truly listening to their experiences and making connections. I was so impressed with the students and their ability to converse with a group of adults that they had never met. These were high school students, passionate teachers who were recognizing gifts and recognizing students and really take time out of their content schedule to connect, and they were really good about sharing ways that teachers could do that, because time is essential. And so but carving out opportunities for teachers to connect with students, and that was just huge. And then allowing these students are working like 8 and 12 hours a day during the summer to go to a competition in Atlanta.
Right.
And I hope in the show notes you'll put that link to theirs.
I will. We'll put together show notes for these different resources that we're recommending. We're going to just try to share this video out now since it's the last day of ISTE, and it'll be good to get this out there. But we'll do some show notes, and I'm trying to think of what it is. It isn't Share Your Voice, Youth Voices. It comes up.
Philly.
No, it's not in Philly. They have to travel a little bit. It might be Atlanta. Anyway, they're raising funds. But this group, the Poetry Slam group in Philly, is really, it's exemplary. Oh my gosh. And it's the kind of thing where you just want to hang out with these teachers and these students more, just as far as the idea sharing. One of the smallest sessions, in fact, Steve Hargadon was saying afterwards, that he firmly believes sometimes the best things are the most lightly attended, because it was not one of these packed sessions, but it was at the end of the day, and there's all kinds of birds of a feather sessions going. So that was great. I wanted to mention visual note-taking. Lorraine Orenchuk and I had a pop-up session in the Bloggers Cafe and just shared, some different tools and strategies for doing visual note-taking, which I just absolutely love. And resources that I have on visual note-taking or sketchnoting you can find by going to showwithmedia.com and clicking the link for visual note-taking. And I really like thinking about visual note-taking as you could just, paper and pencil. You don't have to be using a device. Then you can take a photograph of that. You can share that. And then if you want to take that up a level, you can narrate that, either, just with an app like Voice Recorder Pro, or I was showing her with Explain Everything, how you can then take those visuals into Explain Everything and kind of zoom around and move around inside and talk about that. And I love that because it's an old school meets new school strategy. We've been having, kids draw things for a long time, but it's really, it's a unique thing because as kids move up the food chain in education, we generally tend to tell them, hey, stop drawing, start taking serious notes, which, are supposed to look like mine that are Roman numeral and whatever. And so it's visual note-taking and sketchnoting is just a great thing. And that was fun to be able to do that. What about the Oklahoma Ed meetup? We had a meetup on Sunday night. Yeah. I think the power of that is huge. We had about 20 of us from Oklahoma. Levi, I don't know, is it Valdois? I'm not sure how to say Levi's last name. But he's with our tech centers and got that together and organized it. And I just enjoyed making those connections. Mark,
learning about what other people are doing.
Well, and whenever you break bread with people, you have a chance to engage and learn at a deeper level. So Mark was at UCO, and now he's in Ada, Oklahoma, doing instructional technology with them. But it's great. Jennifer Ryer. I love Jennifer Ryer. She brought 26 teachers, well, her team from McAllister, Oklahoma, 26 teachers. I don't know of any other schools in Oklahoma, you know, bringing that much. And their district has just made this strong commitment to professional development and recognizing that teachers can get so much out of a conference experience. And so hopefully we're going to find time, ooh, and I didn't write this down, to do share back. I went to the end of the Teach Meet on Sunday. Was that right? No, Monday. When was it? Who knows? It was Sunday, because Monday was the ISTE Unplugged Hacked Ed event, which is kind of like an ed camp, but then they had a Teach Meet, which is more, there's lots of Australian teachers doing Teach Meets, and in England, and it's different. There's a video actually in this playlist with a couple interviews, but it's short 2 to 7 minute presentations by teachers, quick share outs, and it's more of an agenda that you just kind of roll through. But I was talking actually to Jennifer at our little get together and said, hey, why don't we do a Teach Meet? Because it could give an opportunity for teachers to share back or share out, you know, things that they've learned, but it's much less intimidating than saying, oh, I got to do a 45-minute session. So that is going to be fun. I like the Google announcements. I got to hang out at the Google booth just briefly, and I had a preview from some folks that I had met, well, previously, that they were some big announcements were coming. The share button that they have, integrating third-party you know, platforms in with Google Classroom, their API, which is tied in with that, but just facilitating, you know, being able to take your class, you know, send them something, receive it back, you know, integrating with other tools. I didn't hear this announcement yet, but I know that something is coming with YouTube for schools. So there's going to be some better and improved ways for schools to have whitelisted access for students to YouTube content, not having to just, you know, turn it all on or off. There's this program, YouTube for Schools, has been around for a while. Our district in Yukon had used it. But that's something which actually I didn't hear about at ISTE, and what I heard was it's coming by September. But that's gigantic. We all need to be using video, and not just to consume video, but to publish it as well.
Right, because I really like the YouTube for Kids app, which is very helpful to us also at accessing information for students. One thing that we didn't mention earlier about some of my favorites was Seesaw. I got to meet with the creator of Seesaw and have a great conversation, and I'm just really...
What is Seesaw?
Seesaw is a student-directed digital portfolio. So it's super easy for students to use. It's really, I mean, for those of us who are creating digital content, but it doesn't even have to be digital. It's just being able to access the student lessons that, well, the creations the students are doing
Taking
in the classroom.
pictures of work, audio recording, having them read, giving feedback, hearting, you know, saying you like this, text comment, audio comment, and then everything goes into this private, like, file cabinet for the students.
Right. So,
and used
we've
it for
been
about
using
a month,
it.
right?
Yeah, well, no, about 2 months, 3 months maybe. But I was able to put like 157 documents into the student folders and be able to archive that information and be able to curate all of that. And I like some of the things that they're doing. They're going soon. Students will be able to edit some of that information that they're putting into it. They've made it super easy. I mean, even a kindergarten or preschooler can very easily add something to their portfolio. Parents can access these portfolios in emails. Parents, when something new has been added, so the parents immediately can say, when student gets home from work, hey, I saw that you were writing this really awesome frog poem today. Tell me about that. You know, where did you learn from that? Right. So really a conversation
Not having to wait
starter.
till the end of the 9-week conference to do
when
that.
This little crumpled up piece of paper comes home.
Doing it on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, so to me, it's been a lifesaver to be able to save some of the things off of our individual iPads, you know, because
the small
some of the books
iPads
that we're creating and the iPad, you know, the iMovie trailers and things like that are just huge, and they're taking up way too much space. But having a place to put those things so that students can readily get at that content and then show that and experience
and
that
linking them too,
because
you're publishing stuff to your classroom YouTube channel and your kid blog, but being able to link those.
Well, and that's important too, because they're really looking seriously at a blogging feature. So having
for
students,
Seesaw.
Yeah, for Seesaw, and so I think that's going to be coming out sometime in this year. But having a blogging feature for students in that environment as well. So I really enjoyed that conversation. I really like what they're doing with all of that.
Okay, last question, because we're almost at 20 minutes and we gotta wrap up. What is your one thing? I'll go first, but your one thing, like if you're going to look at all the stuff from ISTE, because we talk about it's so easy to be overwhelmed. It's a fire hose of content. Like if you're going to prioritize, what is your one thing you're going to do? Mine is going to be the Flipboard shared magazine of student work. I registered the domain oklaed.us after the NED camp this spring, and have been kicking around ideas as far as how we could use that. And I really hope that we can set that up as a team blog, a team space for sharing student work. Like there's all kinds of innovative things to share, but I really think student work is it. That's the fruit. There's so many good things that come from actually, because it brings the students right in. We're amplifying them. We're focusing, on them. So those things together, that shared WordPress site, and then encouraging, different teachers from around Oklahoma to share the work that their students are publishing, but then using a Flipboard magazine, which can make it really quick to put in, as you want to share student work. It's a lot like Comments for Kids. If you're familiar with that project, just the word comments, the number 4, and then kids as a Twitter hashtag. It's a way to amplify student work, and that's something happening globally, but I want to do that, within Oklahoma to really amplify what our kids are doing. What's your one thing that you're going to take back?
Well, I think at the top of my brain right now, because I've been doing a lot of things this summer, so I have a lot of projects that he wants me to look at the camera.
Yeah. I can do this.
Yeah,
you can look
okay.
at me. We can go to sleep.
No, don't go to sleep.
Okay, I won't.
What I have to say is important.
I'm not going to sleep.
Okay, don't go to sleep. But I think, now that you've mentioned it, and we mentioned that too, I think taking Flipboard back and really educating our staff. I mean, we are a very small staff. We have 4 teachers on staff. We have a group of administrators who work hard at promoting our school. We have counselors. We have family support people. So I think it's going to be, it's a big team of people. So really finding a way that we can all interact and put those things that we're collecting for our students and helping our students and our families, and putting all of that information into one area. So I think right now, at the top of my brain, I think that's my project as well.
Good. That's good. And because what that'll do is not only share the ideas, but encourage others to become connected educators.
Absolutely.
Which is, that was interesting, the Flipboard thing, because I mentioned Flipboard in the context of connected educator, and, they said, well, what is a connected educator?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Because I think that's an important takeaway. We can learn about individual things, but if we can connect to each other, and we can be connected on an ongoing basis, and we're sharing ideas and student work and strategies, and we can reach out to each other and ask questions, that's really the biggest takeaway. So on that note, I think we've had on this video our Twitter handles, W Fryer and S Fryer. If you'd like to connect to either of us, ask us questions. We are going to try to continue sharing and amplifying our students and our schools and learning together. So, all right. Adios. ISTE 2015.